Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Holy Shift, or welcome for your first time. If you are new here, I am Stephanie Gray, and I am an artist and a creative transformation guide. But the reason I'm doing this is because I love to talk about the shift in consciousness that's happening, and I love bringing friends on to talk about it with me. And today, I'm going to do just that. I have Valorie Lewis here with me. She is an intuitive psychic medium and also a certified life coach. She is the person that I go to every time I have a manifestation question. And so we're going to talk about manifesting, but we're going to talk about manifesting with the new energies that seem to be on the planet right now, ushering in something new. And so I think we'll just sort of go with that. The first thing I want to ask, though, Valerie, welcome in, by the way.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Do you think that there's a shift in consciousness happening on the planet?
Absolutely, 100%. Undeniable at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you say undeniable, like what is happening for you that would make it undeniable?
Just from a spiritual aspect, the energies, even if you aren't empathic and even if you're not sensitive to them, they're so big and so strong that you can't miss them. So, on a spiritual level, the frequency, the energies are shifting, mindsets are shifting, points of focus are shifting. But on a more even non spiritual plane, on a more just looking at world events, it's undeniable that there are a lot of shifts and a lot of changes going on. And I know a lot of people who might not be spiritually inclined are asking the question, what's going on? Why are things so crazy? What's happening during this lifetime that I'm living in that seems so different from anything that's come before? So to me, no matter where you fall on the spectrum, spiritual, not spiritual, the shifts are undeniable.
Yeah, I mean, I would completely agree with that, obviously. But I it it does feel undeniable, especially here in 2025, even just in the very beginnings of March, like it is crazy. But you can feel the amping up of the energies. And I wonder, actually, I have two questions, but the first one is, do you think that those energies that we're talking about right now are playing a part in how we're manifesting things now?
Absolutely. There is an absolute shift in awareness around manifestation and manifestation techniques. For
Okay.
sure. I
So
believe, yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, so just flesh that out for me. And it sounded like you were about to.
Yeah, I believe that more people are becoming aware of this term manifestation, stepping into their power, so to speak, understanding that they are no longer passive participants in what has come before. They don't have to accept it. They have the power to change it, which translates into they have the power to create their own reality. They have the power to create and set intentions around their own manifestations for their own life, for their own livelihood. And with that awareness comes the questioning or the next step of how do I do that? And so the how that I do that is changing because there's less of a, and I hope we dig more into this, there's less of a, um, let me ask the universe, my guides, the angels, God, let me ask for someone to grant me what I am asking for, what I'm trying to bring in, call in. There's less of that. The shift is more to the let me recognize the God that lives within me, my own divinity, my own power. Let me turn within and grant myself my own wishes and grant myself my own manifestations. That's the shift that I'm noticing.
Oh man, yes, 100%. And so that is something that you've noticed shifting and in your own life. And do you feel like when you're in that space, that manifestation or manifesting rather just sort of happens more organically because you're literally just pulling from that part, that deep wisdom, you know, God particle of you rather than looking outside of something?
More organically, yes. And once you master, I use that term loosely, the new mindset and the new techniques around manifesting. Once you master this new shift in manifesting, yes, I feel like it's more organic, but I also feel like there's a lot more ease because it's less of a question and asking and waiting for a response. And it's more of I can do this myself. I don't have to wait for something else. So there's a lot more ease and flow.
I feel that too. And I am not like, I am definitely not an expert in any of this, but I definitely feel more ease and flow as far as just attracting certain things to me that, I can just think about it and then really forget about it and notice that it comes on in a very organic way. Now, I mean, I don't think it's ever showed up the way I thought it would. We'll just put it that way, but it shows up in a way more flowy way, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. It makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you talk about when you talk about coming from that empowered space, do you when you're with other when you're with clients or when you're with other people, do you help them get into that space or do you how do you get them from there to there?
Absolutely. That's actually one of my biggest passions to help people step into their own power, specifically with the intention of creating their own reality or becoming co creators, which I'm beginning to step away from that term of co creation because it's more of a self creation now as we shift into this new state of consciousness. But absolutely. And how I do it, I find there's several modalities, but I find that one of the most effective is probing with introspective questions. The better the quality of your questions, the better the quality or the level of your self awareness. And when you can get to that level of self awareness where you understand your impulses and you understand your passions and you understand what's driving you and you understand your goals and your intentions, when you get to that level, the manifestations are just easy. They're natural. They just flow. So it's a big shift to self awareness and self empowerment. You can't be self empowered if you're not self aware.
Mm, that's critical, isn't it? You can't be self-empowered if you're not self-aware. How could you? And do you feel like the energies coming onto the planet now are helping us become more self-aware?
Absolutely. Interestingly enough, I had a question. Both of us are very much tied to interstellars, and I had a friend question about the energies coming to Earth and how some practitioners that she was watching and in association with were all kind of collectively talking about us being abandoned by these helpful energies or us no longer receiving support from these helpful energy. There was the sense that these energies are kind of done with us and done with our earth fuckery. And that is not me in what I got at all. Instead, I could completely understand how some intuitives are picking up on that vibe. But how it was translated to me is we're not supporting you because you can now support yourself, because you can now do it yourself. And the analogy is the idea of riding a bicycle with training wheels. It's not that they haven't helped us, they've shown us how to ride the bike. They had the training wheels on, they had a hold of our handlebar and our seat as they helped us steer. And now they're saying, you need to do this for yourself. And as they let go, that's the release that a lot of intuitives are feeling, that stepping back, that letting go, that release. But it doesn't mean that the support is not there. It means that they've gotten us to the point to where we can do this for ourselves. And that is also part of that shift, that self empowerment shift.
Yeah, I would. That's really interesting. And I would say it's more of an integration now,
Mm-hmm.
and I love that training wheels analogy because it's so true. It's not like they haven't helped or they're not helping, and if interstellars or even, guides, however you want to look at it, um, the energies on the planet now, and this is just my opinion and from where I sit, it feels like they're here to assist us in going within and doing that empowerment thing on our own. It's like they got us to that point, they took off the wheels, and now the energy is here to help out, and here we are, like we're riding the bike. So, do you find in your own life, do you find anything happening that you just haven't expected lately? Like,
Mhm.
like dreams or help in unseen ways, but coming from within. Like, I know that's kind of an odd question, but like, what has shifted in you personally in the last, let's say, 12 months as far as just sort of taking that power or maybe finding that power again, as opposed to looking outside more?
Yes. For me personally, and especially as it regards to manifestations, what I am finding is that the old tried and true methods that I would go through, the processes, the modalities, whatever that I would use to manifest my intentions, they're not working, or they're really difficult to manifest a result with using those old processes, using those old ways of manifesting. And what's been shown to me by spirit is that those old ways are not going to work because that old construct is falling away. So you need to adopt these new ways, and these new ways are the self empowerment that we talked about. So my methods of manifesting are changing greatly. And I would say one of the most significant key points is when I go into meditation or one of my practices or one of my rituals, and I begin down the train of thought of asking, with gratitude, divine, please help me manifest this, or spirit guides, please grant me this wish, or spirit, I immediately now will receive we're not doing that anymore. We don't do that here anymore. And a redirection into, Valorie, when I'm talking to my spirit guides, Valorie, how can you manifest this on your own? We can support you, but how can you do this on your own? How can we get you to realize your own power to create? You are a creator. You are made in our image. You are not different from us. Stop asking us to do what you can do for yourself. So, all of those messages are creating a new way for me to manifest because, again, it's less of the asking and waiting to receive, which has been taught for decades, for as long as I can remember, in the law of attraction fields and in the manifestation fields, is get in the receiving mode. And it's more or less about that. And it's more about get in the creation mode. You have the ability to create this for yourself.
100%, man. Yes, you are speaking my language because obviously, I feel like creating is one of the most important things we can do right now. And it really does help us like flex that muscle and take the power back that I feel like has been seeped out of us for so long. That's absolutely beautiful. And it sort of answers my other question, which was, for people who are really finding themselves struggling right now in the climate that's happening, the political climate here in America, but also just because of all the crazy energies and the deconstructing that's happening, the falling away. I mean, I would say that empowerment piece for me has been the biggest thing that helps me. But I'm wondering, do you have any other bits of advice that has helped you sort of manage these crazy energies?
Crazy is an understatement. Let me say, I am crazy. I know crazy intimately. I'm very familiar with that energy. Crazy is an understatement for what's going on here in America and, worldwide, honestly. So I get that. The chaotic, I think would be closer, because it's almost like every time I wake up in the morning, I don't know what to expect. What new is going to come down the pipelines? So one of the personal mantras that I have worked on adopting for myself, especially in light of everything that's going on, is the phrase, no one has power over me. And I repeat that to myself in all situations where it feels as if someone is directing my path or obstructing my path. I continue to repeat to myself, no one has power over me. And a little subtitle under that is understanding that if I feel as if someone genuinely does have power over me, that is because I have chosen to give them that power, either consciously or subconsciously. And so that's my work, to work on calling my power back and stepping back into my power and realizing where I may have given it away so I can redirect that back towards myself.
That's beautiful. Absolutely. And knowing that that can happen, it's not a one and done sometimes. Like it's,
Oh, yeah, it's work.
yeah,
Yeah,
it is. It is. But it can be fun sometimes too, knowing that, ultimately we are rebuilding our power structure within and
absolutely.
outside of us too. I mean, like everything has to change. Everything has to sort of crumble before this new can completely reinstall itself, however you want to put it, right?
Yeah.
S-
And one thing that I would add to any viewers, and it's also something I encounter myself, so this is something I've worked through on my own. In those moments when I don't feel my own personal power and I feel a weakness or I feel an inability to even conjure up that personal power, I'm looking and I can't find it. It's important for me to remember that those support systems that we talked about, the angels, the guides, the interstellars, the divine itself, source energy, those are still there as power sources that I can draw from. And if I draw from those power sources and incorporate it into integrate, you mentioned that term earlier, then it still makes it my power. So sometimes when I don't have that internal power system for in whatever area I might be looking for it, I can still plug into source energy. I can still plug into my spirit guides, draw that power in and make that power my own so that I can still operate how I came to operate here.
mm.
So you're not in this alone, is basically the summary.
Yeah, I mean, and that is so important to remember for anyone listening. Like, this isn't like we're all in this together, and it's weird and it's it's untrackable because we don't know our way through this. This is very uncertain times.
Mm,
However, that power that we're feeling, if you're feeling it, will guide us too. Just sort of following that thread of what lights us up within will sort of also be like a map. And yeah, I mean, and also there are days sometimes where I don't feel empowered and I don't feel integrated and I just take it as one of those days and I'm okay with it. Like I don't beat myself up because again, these are unprecedented times and there are going to be days where we're just, even if this is all we do and we're practitioners and we work with other people and we're creators and all this, like off days happen. I just want to say
yes,
that so people don't feel so alone.
yes. And you talked about a map, and what that sparked for me was the idea of this is completely new terrain. This is
Mhm.
never before seen experiences, situations, global, community wise, individually wise. You can't navigate this new terrain with the old maps. So we have to be creating our own maps and creating our new systems of navigation through these times, through this new terrain.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Huh. Well, Valerie,
Yes.
I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
And
This is
and
a juicy one, isn't it?
it's gonna be, well, I don't know. I don't know. I always ask folks who come on here, what's shifting in their lives, what's shifting for you personally. And so I'm curious what's shifting for you right now.
Overall, I would say an expansion into who I truly am, my authentic and highest version. On a more practical level, things are shifting for me in my personal life and also in my business life, most importantly in my business life, just because that's my joy, that's my passion. And I am loving the shifts. I am loving the shifts. There is absolutely chaos and challenges included in those shifts, but I can see where it's shifting to, and I'm very, very excited about those shifts.
Mm. And if somebody wanted to work with you, now we're going to put all your information down in the down below, but I'm just curious where you would like people to find you.
Yeah, the best way to connect with me at this time would be my website, which is community based, which is Tarot Unicorns and Coffee. You might also see me out on the World Wide Web under the moniker of Goddess with an Attitude. But TerrellUnicornsandCoffee.com is my website where you can find almost any information you need about working with me.
Very cool. Well, thanks, Val. Thanks for
Yeah,
hanging out with me. I always
thank
love
you.
our
I love this
conversations.
discussion. Yes,
Oh, me too.
yes.
All right. Well, folks, thank you. And yeah, we'll see you again next time.